I've reviewed a bunch of resumes, and today we're going to talk through the things that I always check for when I'm looking at a resume so that you can do this for yourself at home. Hi, I'm Jamie, and I'm here to help you transform how you work. I'm the founder of Career Brilliance, a business that helps people boost their business savvy and cross more things off their to-do list so they can fast-track their path to professional leadership and enjoy their workday more. If that sounds good to you, be sure to like this video and hit subscribe so you never miss another one. When I'm reviewing a resume, the first place I'm going to is the content, and specifically the experience items that you've outlined. So let's look at an example. This experience outlines the date, the role, the company, the location, and then you have your bullet point descriptions, which I call your arcs. These are your accomplishments, responsibilities, and contributions within that particular role. The best format for these is always going to be action verb, arc detail, so that, impact, or value. So when I'm looking through your resume, that is specifically what I'm looking for within these bullet points. I want to know, what did you specifically do and why did it matter? So if we look at the second bullet point here, we can dissect it according to this format. So we start off with our strong action verb, which is created. Then we get into the arc detail. We created a digital asset management system and standard operating procedure for brand-related update requests. That is the arc detail for this person whose experience item this is. And then we get into the impact, the value, the so that. Basically, we're answering the question, why does this matter? What impact did this have? So the impact that it did was it successfully processed 120 requests in its first month of implementation and reduced turnaround time by an average of 20%. So it's really clear what the impact was that this particular contribution had within this role. So when you're thinking about what the actual benefit, impact, value was of your specific accomplishment, responsibility, or contribution, you can think about it in terms of, I did this thing so that the business could do this other thing, or this thing then enabled or created something else. It could also be that this thing that I did, my arc, reduced or increased, whether that's time or money, or maybe it improved or streamlined something else. So all of those are ways to think about what that impact, that value, the benefit, the why of your particular arc. All right, next, we're going to stay within the content, but now I want to find anywhere where we can further specify and quantify. So I'm looking for anywhere where we can add the answers to the questions, how many, how much, or which ones. So as you think about that, that could be in terms of the number of people, which could be on your team, in a meeting, number of customers. It could be the number of dollars, so dollars spent, dollars in your budget, or dollars saved. It could also be a reference to time or cadence. So if you did something over a 6-month period, or if it was a weekly status meeting, for example. And then finally, category adjectives. So adding in details like the accounting department, or that it was an invite-only app, or that you worked with new hire employees. All of that just gives additional detail, additional context for your resume. And the third thing that I'm looking for is parallel structure. And this one's really more about the structure and the formatting. So let's actually jump into a resume. I'm going to share my screen and talk you through what it is that I look for with this one. Okay, so when it comes to a resume, and the technical document that it is, there are a lot of moving pieces. So just looking at this person's resume, we see we've got a bunch of different types of headings here. We've got bold, we've got italics, we've got different font colors, we've got all sorts of bullet points going on. And so when it comes to this level of review, what I'm really looking for is a parallel structure. And so I'm going to go through all of these things and just make sure that things are consistent. So the first place that I'm going to start is looking at these headings, making sure that they are consistent. So we've got a similar font size, font style for experience, education, and outside the office. Same thing for dates. They're all looking the same font color. We've got similar styling throughout all of this. One big one that I see with dates specifically is I'm looking at this dash. So in the world of punctuation, a single dash like this is called a hyphen. Two of them together turns into an en dash, en dash, which is technically the correct one when you are doing dates. If you have three of them, then it turns into an em dash, em dash. The biggest thing here is you want to make sure that they are consistent across all three of them. And you don't want anything funky like, see how that just made that? You want, if you're going to do an en dash, you want to make sure it doesn't stay as two hyphens like that, because that looks kind of funky. So again, parallel, you want these to be consistent across all three. Okay, the next place that I'm going is I'm going to look at these bullet points and I want to make sure that all of them are aligned. Let's say this one, for some reason, is like way over here, or this whole batch is, let's see if it's going to let me do it. For some reason, this whole batch is like misaligned with the other ones. Those are the sorts of things that I'm looking for just to make it look extra clean. The next place that I'm going to look is for verb tenses. Every single one of these bullet points, all of these arcs are going to start with an action verb. Best practice is that if something is in the past, which almost all of these are, this verb is going to be in the past tense. So we see created, collaborated, and led. Looks good. Led, created, initiated, contributed. Great. When you have something that is your present experience, it can be either present tense or past tense, but most importantly, it needs to be the same. So we can see in this one bullet point, we have both a present, define, and a past tense, which is tracked. We just need to pick one. For the sake of our example here, I'm going to make them all present tense for this one because this is what is currently happening. But again, it's more about making sure that things are consistent and parallel. The last check here is making sure that if there are periods on the end of your bullet points, that it is consistent. Now, grammatically speaking, none of these are full sentences. They do not have subjects in them. And so ideally, you would not have any periods. But if you feel really strongly about having periods, you'll want to make sure that they are on all of them, again, for consistency. Now, these things are not going to make or break your job application by any means, but it does make a difference when it comes to having a really clean, well-structured resume that indicates that you pay close attention to detail. So I like to include these as part of my resume reviews just to make sure everything is looking in tip-top shape. All right, so those were the three major things that I look at when I am reviewing a resume that now you know to look for on your own resume. Finally, I want to give you three more rapid fire, very fast things that I always look for. The first one is that your file name of your resume, when you actually go to submit it, should be your first name, last name, resume. It should not be resume final this year, whatever. That's going to get lost on a recruiter's computer. It needs to be your first name, your last name, resume when it gets submitted. Your resume should be no more than one page if you have less than 10 years of experience. Everything that's on your resume should be recent and relevant, and there's no reason for you to have more than one page. And finally, no typos. So this refers to the types of typos that are actually like mistyping a word, and the typos that are, oh, that is the wrong word to use in that sentence. The first ones are pretty easy to find these days with spell check. The second ones are a little bit trickier. So for those, it really helps if you can have somebody else with a fresh set of eyes look through your resume and identify anything that looks a little bit funky. If not, that's okay. Give yourself a little bit of time to come back to your resume with fresh eyes and reread everything. Sometimes I find that actually printing it out and looking at it on a hard copy will reveal things that get lost on your screen, but definitely try your very hardest to have no typos on your resume. Okay, so those are the key steps that I look for when I'm reviewing a resume, and now you know to do that for your own. If you liked these tips, be sure to check out my free on-demand masterclass all about writing emails that actually get answered. The link for that is in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.